Hey, I'm Lenny.
And I'm Gavin, and together we're known as Short Attention Spa.
You're listening to our new dailyish podcast, Comedians Calling Comedians During Corona. Our live shows got canceled, so we're planning to go viral instead.
We're setting out to flatten the curve and give you and ourselves some laughs each day by calling comedians from around the world.
Sometimes our moms might be on too.
Mom, we're recording a podcast.
We're available on all the podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other ones. Please subscribe, and you can watch the video version of this call on our YouTube channel, Short Attention Spa.
Who knows where our green screens will find us isolated next?
Today is March 21st, 2020, and this is episode 3.
Our guest today is a comedian and comedy club owner from Burlington, Vermont. He's a member of the main stage improv team, The Unmentionables, and has been voted Best Vermont Stand-Up Comedian and Funniest Comic in New England.
Let's give Nathan Hartswick a call.
Oh, hang on a sec.
What?
Hang on. My mom's calling me.
Hey, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Just a sec.
Gavin just stepped out of the meeting for a moment because his mom called him.
Oh, okay.
So
Great.
he'll be back in a second.
Well, that's nice of her, I guess.
Yeah. She seems to call as soon as we set up the live stream here. As soon as we set the recording, she calls like clockwork. So I thought he was going to stay on the line and have the conversation, but then he just disappeared. So, okay, how's it going, Gavin? You there?
Great. Just traveling through time and space.
Yes, indeed. Doctor Who, it's very appropriate. Look at that.
Yeah.
You wear the shirt. All right.
Okay. Now I can't see Nate. Oh, there you are.
Okay. So let's welcome Nate Hartswick.
Hey,
Hey.
how you guys holding up there?
Well, not very well, as you can see. Gavin is in space-time, and I'm at the beach in my desk chair.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I really am feeling for the people who might be subscribing to an audio version of this podcast because, I mean, the visual component, the budget of the VFX of this YouTube streaming podcast is top notch.
Yeah.
I urge anyone who's listening to it in paltry audio to go find the video of this.
That's right. We're going to follow up with our next show, Puppets on the Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking to the IMAX people about releasing the audio podcast in their theaters.
Yeah, then they can see you frozen at 150 feet tall.
That's right. Oh no. Yeah. And he froze there. That's perfect. Nate, why don't we ask you about where you are in the world right now?
I am in Burlington, Vermont, United States of America.
All right. Well, it's not that far away from us. You're just south of the border, but now our border has been closed to Americans, so I couldn't come visit you if I wanted to, nor vice versa. Yeah. What are things like there? Are people taking this seriously?
Yeah, it seems to be a little bit of both. I mean, for the most part, I think most people here are doing what's recommended and trying to flatten the curve and really taking it seriously. And there's among that group, there's a spectrum, right? Like there's people who are taking it very seriously, as I think they should, and there's people who are like, I'm going to loosen the rules a little bit because I don't want to be super inconvenienced. And so that's one group. And then there's just the absolute crazy people where you're like, because we have 2 dogs and we end up having to take them on walks and stuff. And the whole time you're out there, you're playing Frogger with people, trying to figure out how to get by them on the sidewalk and make sure you don't come into, a 6-foot radius of them. And it's like there are people out there in the world who just think this does not apply to them and are totally unaware. my wife took the dogs to the dog park the other day. It's like groups of people hanging out with each other, walking toward her with their dogs. Like she just like, feels like a crazy person being like, do you not get away from me? So it's weird. It's like, and of course it's like every other place, and where you just walk in. Like if you like drive through downtown and you look at the main street, it's just like desolate. And my buddy's a photographer, and he went around with a camera and just took pictures of all the businesses' doorways, and they all have a taped, printout that says, "Here's what's going on. Here's what's going on." Like everything's closed. So.
Yeah. Everything is closed. I mean, are you, as far as your business, that's done for now, right? Like you
Also closed. Yes.
Yeah.
We run Vermont Comedy Club, which is a stand-up and improv club with 160 seats. And last week, it was Thursday, and we were like, "This is really serious. Like, we should take this seriously." And we had a couple of shows that night with everybody all spread out, and it just didn't seem worth it. Didn't seem worth the risk. And so Friday, we were among the very first, I think, in town to like decide we were going to close. And so we did, and it sort of turned out to be the right decision, because after that, then they start mandating things, and then it becomes this, you don't want to be known as the business that like, stayed open at the expense of public health to make one extra buck.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's been really interesting to watch, like all the small businesses in town, because it's a very small community. It's like 60,000 people here, and it's like a small business community here, and so everybody's just in the same boat. Whereas so many small businesses are like really hurting, and also there's that business urge to like eke out some kind of a living, or try to uh, you know cut your losses a little bit. So like there's restaurants out there that are doing takeout, and they can't be making much because people are too freaked out to, and then they're like, oh, you should support small business, but then it's like, but do at the risk of what?
Yeah, at the risk of those physical interactions.
Yeah, and then they've got their employees in that are like, they're all sharing a space and preparing food together. And then they just changed the law in Burlington temporarily so that you can order takeout alcohol.
Right.
So you can pick up your takeout, and it can come with a sippy cup margarita or a beer or something, which is nice, but it's also like, I wouldn't do it. It's just too scary to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess
I know this is supposed to be funny, right? Is this supposed to be funny?
Yeah. Well, this is what everybody says. I mean,
we're all just venting our frustrations.
Sure. Well, I mean, what are comics and comedians? You obviously know a lot of them, and they come through there, and you're booking them. What are they doing? What are you hearing from them?
I mean, what a crazy time to be any kind of artist, because especially one that like, the art form of stand-up comedy or improv comedy, or even music concerts and stuff, is seen somewhat as kind of a luxury, right? And then like, once you're not allowed to congregate, once that whole thing is taken away, it's like, what do these people do for a living now? And so there's a lot of like, I mean, every improv theater in the world is trying to figure out how to do this, long form improv in a Zoom chat, which is not always successful. It's not the best medium for that.
No.
Yeah, we participated in one last night. That was tons of fun. There was
I mean,
60 people.
It's great, and we're trying stuff out too, and we're trying to find stuff that like works in the medium better. Like we're doing a thing on Thursday nights where our improv team just gets together and plays Jackbox games, and like basically just like rags on each other. And it's like, I find it fun because I don't have to figure out like, how do I swipe the scene? How do I tag someone out? How do I, like, it's just like F around time with your buddies, which I think people actually need right now. Like we've had a lot of positive feedback on that, because like I had people just saying like, I tuned in and I watched you guys, and it was so nice to see a group of people laughing and having fun together, like in a group. Like we were all individual, but it was a very I think people are just so starved for any kind of like fun, people having fun together thing, that's really what they're after. They're not after like intellectualizing improv into 7 boxes on a screen,
Right. No.
But
Although,
yeah,
you know,
as for your other question about stand-ups and stuff, like I mean, everyone I know is like they're all doing Instagram live things where it's like them on one half of the screen and their buddy on the other, and they're just like doing, or they're doing chats with like video chats with like 10 people in a room doing their stand-up bits for each other, which is what we did on Wednesday night as an open mic kind of thing.
mhm.
And that's like kind of fun. It's a fun different thing to do, like, and it keeps the comedy community alive and supporting each other and stuff. We're all in it together kind of thing, but it definitely is like it ain't the same as getting paid to do stand up for a group of people. So I think a lot of comics, especially comics that are like you know lower to mid level kind of comics, are just like, what do I do now? Like I can't, if they're road feature comics, then there's no work. The work is gone. Like, and God knows for how long. So I think people are really trying to. There's going to be a lot of podcasts and there's going to be a lot of video shows, and none of them are going to quite take the place of a live experience. And that's going to have to be okay for a while until we figure out, how to get back into this.
Yeah. So just before we end it and say goodbye, who is there anybody that you're watching right now, or anybody that you think that you'd want to like tell people to watch? Any comedians you've seen, any cool online stuff that they're doing?
Cool online stuff. You mean other than what we're doing at Vermont
Oh
Comedy
yeah,
Club?
this is it. This is the
um,
pinnacle, right?
Absolutely.
Doctor
right,
Who.
right. Well, yeah. Well, this exactly like this podcast for sure. But what else? What else? I mean, like it's. I mean, it's just interesting. Like, pick your favorite stand-up comedian and like ask yourself, I wonder what they're doing right now, and then just go follow them on social media and see what they're doing, because there's some. They're all having to figure it out, and some of them are actually pretty entertaining. Like I watched Mike Birbiglia and Gary Goldman chatting with each other and helping each other with new material for half an hour.
Oh,
And that
cool.
was super entertaining. I think we're in this weird place where like everyone's now, instead of like just like being a comedy show that competes with the other like live events in one city, now you're like competing with the entire internet. So for people's attention and Netflix, and so I think that's tough for people. They're still figuring it out, but I think there's going to be some really like creative, fun stuff that comes out of it, hopefully.
Yeah.
How are you guys
Absolutely.
holding up?
And
I want to know how you guys are holding up there.
well, it's as it's unfolded, like we've been talking to people about this, like it's kind of dawned on us, like over each passing day, or sometimes in the hours just before our show was going to go on, that this was changing, and it's still changing day to day. So we're getting comfy up here, but I'm really glad it's starting to warm up and we can go outside a little bit.
Yeah, me too.
It makes a
Yeah, and
huge
then
difference.
like we had a show on Thursday night that was like, I didn't know it was gonna be our last show, and then it just became our last show, and now I'm like, I don't know when I'm gonna be able to do improv again.
I know.
Crazy.
I
It's
know.
crazy.
Yeah.
I miss it already.
Well, we
Well,
could do a bit of zip zap zop right now if you want.
Given
yeah.
the technical issues we're
Zip.
having, I think that would be problematic.
I can go to the other view here. Actually, all right, let's try a speaker view. We'll see if we can trick the microphone and the camera. There you go. Oh, I got it. That's right. Okay, sorry.
Also, who are you looking at?
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Down
You
or
see what I mean?
sideways.
It's not for
Yeah.
this medium is not for everything.
Oh, the orientation. That's right.
Okay.
Zip.
Zap.
Stop.
All right. We
You
did it.
just frozen. I
This is
can't
a
see.
nightmare.
Zip.
This
Oh,
is a nightmare.
zip.
Oh, yeah. If we can just get
Okay.
people to pay $14.99 a month for this, then we'll be set.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us, Nathan.
Of course.
And best of luck.
Stay
I know
healthy.
Bernie's.
You too. All right, guys.
Yeah,
Got
stay
your backs.
healthy.
We'll
Keep
get through
washing your
this.
hands.
And just as we say bye to Nathan, I want to make sure to mention his improvised satire podcast, The Corporation. Check it out. It's awesome.
Thanks so much for listening. Be kind to one another, and remember, wash your hands.
We're Short Attention Spa, and we will be here calling comedians every day if it's the last thing we do. And it might be.
See you tomorrow.